Hi, everybody. This is Hondo Carpenter from Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation Las Vegas Raiders Insider Podcast with my complete recap of the Las Vegas Raiders' incredibly disappointing loss tonight to the Detroit Lions, 26-14. The offense put 7 points on the board, a completely anemic performance, an impotent performance from a $102 million offense, and it was horrible. Let's just get right to it. After the game, I said to Josh McDaniels on October 1st, after Aiden's performance in Los Angeles, she made the comment, to play quarterback in this league, it starts with protecting the football. And yet, Jimmy's missed 2.5 of your 8 games, and he leads the NFL in interceptions. And to Josh's credit, and I know nobody wants to hear it, and they claim I'm a shill. I don't care. You can think whatever you want. And I'm asking the questions, and to his credit, he doesn't dodge them. He's not trying to get out of answering them. And he's like, you're absolutely right. And it's my job to find the answers. It was a terrible performance. And I asked Jimmy, essentially the same thing. This is what he said on October 1st. What do you got to do to get better? I want to dig into several issues tonight. I had a general manager once tell me that there are 8 teams in the NFL that think and believe they have that believe they have a quarterback that can win them a Super Bowl. There are 8 that hope they have a quarterback that can win them a Super Bowl. And the other 16 are trying to get to the first one or will settle for the second one, somebody that gives them hope. The National Football League is predicated on quarterback play, and the Raiders simply don't have it. I mean, they've played 3 quarterbacks. At this point, you can see what Jimmy has. You can see what Jimmy has. And I thought, especially early in the game, I put this out there, and, when people are mad, they don't listen to reason, and I can't do anything about that. It's not my job. But I talked about the threat of the aerial attack, let them run the football. People are saying, what do you mean the threat? He's only 3 of 8. Yep, you're right. He only was. But the threat that he was going to do it, the Lions knew, and they talked about this after the game, great receivers. The Raiders have great receivers. So as long as there's a threat, even if he's not good and he's struggling, they have to take it seriously. They've got to be able to defend that. You notice I didn't say the success of the aerial attack to you keyboard whizzes. I said the threat of the aerial attack. But when it got to the second half and the Raiders are down 2 scores, there's nothing that they could do. Then the Lions pinned their ears back and Jimmy got just battered. But I don't want to hear that from the Jimmy apologists. Jimmy looked terrible. At no point in this game, there was one drive I thought was the best drive of the season where he looked really, really good. It was a lot of run. And because there had been some aerial threat, it opened up some lanes. But at no point in this game, I think there was any place where you thought, yeah, I think Jimmy could lead this team. I know he did last year with San Francisco with a much different offensive scheme. And that's not what the Josh McDaniels scheme is. And I get it. I understand it. This rests all on Josh, by the way. I'm not making any excuses for him, but it's very clear. Brian Hoyer's a 15-year vet. So whether you like Brian or don't like Brian, he's not the answer. He's 15 years in the league, and you don't know with Aidan O'Connell. And Josh McDaniels, I encourage you to go watch the video. He was pressed. At this point, do you look at going with Aidan? And he said, I'm not going to discuss it right now. To his credit, he didn't dismiss it. He said, I'm not going to talk about it right now. I said 4 games ago, the next 6 games were going to tell us everything we need to know. And the Raiders are now 2-2 with 2 very winnable games against 2 teams that are not good. But neither were the Bears, and they lost. I don't think either one of them is a gimme for this team. Should be, talent-wise, should be, not. So I think everything, first of all, starts with, I liked, especially in the first half and early in the third quarter, you could see what Josh McDaniels was trying to do. Let's put the threat of the aerial attack out there, okay? Jimmy has Devontae open in the end zone. He's got both of his guys double coverage, but he's got them both beat. Can't get him the ball, underthrows it. Okay. And I've written about this. I think it was October 8th, where NFL executives talk about the Raiders offense. There's no threat. Now, the fact that he did go deep, even though it was intercepted, changed the Lions coverage and it opened up the running game. But once they got down double scores and time then began to work against the Raiders, they just pinned their ears back because they knew that wasn't a threat. But Jimmy's arm, and I think it's fair. I think that at some point here very quickly, and again, I asked Jimmy some other questions, so you don't get to ask them all. Do you have confidence in your arm? Because he's missing opportunities. And to Josh's credit, I encourage you to go back and listen. This is all on Josh. So when I say to his credit, it's not excusing the performance of this team. But to his credit, he's like, yeah, we're just leaving opportunities on the field. It was a very angry locker room. A very angry locker room. Very few players even wanted to talk. And I think that's a danger zone. Not danger of them turning on the coach. I'm not saying that. I just don't see it. Talking to these guys privately, just don't see it. There are a couple players in this team that absolutely, do I think like Josh? No. But they're not key players. They're not leaders. And it just was a baffling performance yet again. I mean, don't let the 14 points fool you. Only 7 from the Raiders offense. This offense continues to get worse. I want you to think about that for a minute. Continues to get worse. And it sits on the coach. Now, clearly, the Raiders are married to Jimmy Garoppolo for $28 million next year, over 28, nearly $29 million. So can you write a check and get rid of him? They can. But I heard it said tonight, and I agree. The quarterback of the future of this team, you have to say, at least with some grain of semblance, must not be on this team. Now, I don't think we've seen enough from Aiden to judge that. And I think Aiden has the potential of being a very good quarterback, especially in a very specific offense like this one. And at some point, the Raiders have to ask themselves. Now, I think that's clearly, if you're not doing it now, when? You got 2 teams ahead of you. The New York G-Men this weekend at Allegiant, and the following week, the Jets. You got 2 beatable teams. Why would you not go with Aiden? Now, you can say, well, I don't think Aiden gives us our best chance to win. Well, what the hell do you call what Jimmy's doing? If that's your best chance to win, you start O'Connell, period. And I'm not putting all this on Jimmy. Davante Adams misses a huge block. Then the next play, drops a pass. Well, I love Davante, but you're going to complain? You don't do that stuff. I thought the offensive line, again, at the end, when they were able to pin their ears back, no offensive line was going to be successful. I thought they did fine tonight. They were establishing the run. They were relatively well protecting Jimmy. Were they perfect? No, but you're not going to be perfect. That other team has guys on contract too. Real quick, net yards rushing. The Raiders had 80. But again, that's net. Because remember, net yards rushing takes out sacks. But when I flip the page real quick, give me a second here, please. But when you flip the page real quick and you start looking at actual stats, rushing yards, Josh Jacobs had 61, Jimmy Garoppolo 12, Abdullah 7. But again, I think Josh was on his way to 100 yards until they got to the place where they were going to pin their ears back. So here are the Raiders. And what's the complete recap? The defense, again, considering what you've invested in them financially, I think did fine for what you invested in them. I think the defense is better than it was last year. I think this is a team a defensive squad that they're doing what they can do. But the offense is where all the money is. It's all the resources is. And you don't have a quarterback in this league. Now, I said before, that, the Raiders, it's their fault they're in this position. It is the fault of the franchise in totality that they're in this position. And so it's their job to fix it. Clearly moving forward, at some point, Aiden's got to get the shot. Now, I don't think it's fair to wait till the team's out of playoff contention when you're going to have certain guys not playing at certain levels because they know the playoffs are out of the question, and it's human nature to not play at a certain level. I think if you're thinking about, okay, next year I'm going to have to go draft a quarterback, then you have to give Aiden O'Connell. You're 3-5. You lost to the freaking Bears. Don't you at least want to give Aiden a fighting chance to show you what he has? Or do you want to wait and play him after you're out of playoff contention against the Chiefs, against the Dolphins, where you're probably going to be behind and he's going to get slaughtered, and then have him end up going to another franchise and starring? Potentially, not calling him a star. We don't know. We haven't seen enough. But at some point, this is, for the sake of your franchise, I've said all along that they were kind of stuck with Jimmy, and he was the best available that they felt fit into their system. The contract's clearly on them. Why Jimmy Garoppolo was not given an incentive-laden contract, to me, I know for a fact there was not that big of a market for him. Not saying there were not other teams that were not interested, because there were. But the Raiders overpaid, which is fine. That's their prerogative. It's their franchise. They run it. But even if what give me, okay, yeah, well, we owe them 28, almost 29 million. Plus, I was told tonight, even some money into 2025. I don't know that. I haven't confirmed it. I apologize. I'll do that by tomorrow. But I don't care if it is money in 2025. You owe them 29 million for next year. And have you seen any reason to be hopeful? Bueller? Anyone? I haven't. I mean, I'm there. I'm seeing it. Sorry. Nothing. Again, I think Jimmy's a good guy. This is nothing personal. But the fact of the matter is that you got to be able to, you're not taking enough shots. There's enough opportunities missed. You got a touchdown with Devontae. You got to get the ball there. Now, last week, Devontae had a chance at a touchdown, dropped that ball. Then turns around this week again, dropped a pass, missed a block. There was a fourth quarter throw that, does he quit running? I don't know. But Jimmy overthrew him. So either it was a bad read by Jimmy or he slowed down on the route. I'm going to defer to Devontae, but I think it's a fair question. So what's the complete recap? This offense is trash. Again, I don't think the offensive line is as bad as people think they are. You saw hope out of there tonight for what they're investing in. Okay, but the Raiders, even if they go with a quarterback next year, you still have to build this team along the offense and defensive line. So you bring in another rookie and, okay, you're going to go with him or a vet, but you got to invest. Well, we're going to go the free agent route, which is fine. I have no problem going the free agent route and getting already proven and experienced guys. In fact, I like that, especially at the offensive line, but you don't build long-term with just a bunch of free agents. And so the offense is terrible. I don't think the defense is as bad as the score would tell you, 26 points. But I think this team hurts themselves. And tonight, I thought the defense gave a valiant effort. They just could not get any help. And you just saw them run out of gas. Before they ran out of gas, this was a one-score game. And you saw something. It was a 19-14 game. And they just ran out of gas. So the complete recap is I asked Josh McDaniels that. I asked Jimmy Garoppolo about it. And whether this team wants it or not, it is on. There is a full-fledged quarterback controversy right now. I believe that they'll do everything to quash that, and I don't blame them. If I were in their position, I would too, but it's there. It's there. Davante, very frustrated, but let's not pretend like he was the only one. Josh McDaniels, I really encourage you to watch the video. The most frustrated I've ever seen him. You can tell he's not going there, but it's just right there. And again, he addressed the fact. I said to him, there are 9 games left, but it's not working. And he agreed. There is 9 games, but and again, then he was asked about making the quarterback change, and he said, I'm not talking about it right now. Clearly, it's on his mind, and of course it is. It's on everybody's mind. But the complete recap is this was a disaster again. Monday Night Football, the eyes of the nation watching, and your offense is terrible. Years ago, there was a team, the Michigan State Spartans that I covered, that had a great defense. Many people consider it one of the best in NCAA history. It was 2013, the year they went to the Rose Bowl. It was the year before there was a college playoff. And many people believe had they faced Jameis Winston, they would have won the national title that year. And I remember Big Ten coaches were recruiting against Michigan State by saying to offensive players, go watch any of their film. Their defense has to score. Now, it wasn't that bad, but it wasn't good. Michigan State that year just struggled offensively and did for many, many years. And if you're trying to get free agents, there's going to be people that are going to say, go watch the film. Don't you want to be an all-pro? Don't you want to reach incentives? How are you going to do it with that offense? It's terrible. There's no other way to get around it. They have a controversy at quarterback. I think, and I understand they owe a ton of money, but you also owe it to Aiden O'Connell to give him a fair shot to show you what he has. You owe him that. And I'm sorry, Aiden O'Connell was better in his one start than Jimmy Garoppolo was, or quite frankly, probably has been this year. And I'm sorry. It is what it is. Actually, I'm not sorry. It's my opinion, and I'm giving it to you, and I don't apologize for it. This is a frustrated team that should be better than what it is. And there's no one to blame outside of coaching. Now, again, I think you can see what Josh is trying to do, and my job's to be fair. He doesn't have it. And he knows it 100%. And he understands he's going to have to do something. For everyone that's a Carr apologist, it's just, well, they shouldn't have let Carr go. I agree. You don't let Carr go for Jimmy Garoppolo. And they didn't. They let Carr go because they were certain they were going to get Tom Brady, and they had every right to feel that way. Not going to go any farther. And due to circumstances they don't control, and nobody deceived them, it didn't happen. And then you're stuck. And the best guy to run your system, so you thought, was Jimmy Garoppolo. And it's been a failure. So there's where they're at. In this league, it's a quarterback-driven league. And are other people playing well? No. But you've seen quarterbacks be able to go into teams and do really well because they can make some things happen. They can generate some stuff. There's nothing being generated by Jimmy Garoppolo other than frustration. A very frustrated locker room, and it should be. I think a very frustrated fan base, and it should be. And I think this is a team now with 2 winnable games coming up. Does anyone in Raider Nation have confidence? Oh, yeah, the Raiders will win those 2. If the answer is no, and you're 3-5, then I think you give Aiden O'Connell the opportunity to show you he's doing something for next year. I know that Mark Davis said at the owners' meetings, we're trying to win. I agree. It's not like we're talking about giving Aiden a shot and Jimmy's throwing for 300 yards. Let's look at Jimmy's stats. He was 10 of 21, 125 yards, 1 interception, 0 TDs. I rest my case. I think there's a quarterback controversy. I think you've got to look at that. And if not, then I think the owner has a right to say, okay, you guys pick this rookie. You're not willing to give him a shot to see what we have. So next year you want to invest in another one. Well, what happens after one game there? Do you give up? I think it's fair to ask Josh. Josh, you started Mac Jones and got him to a Pro Bowl as a rookie. Is there something that you didn't read on Aiden? And the answer on that's going to be no. Okay, then let's go. Let's go. Let's see what we got. But this is a team that very quickly, this could go really south. And they need these next 2 games very badly. Both of these teams are not good. And they need it for just a confidence moving down the road. But I think there's a full-fledged quarterback controversy. And I think now's the time to go to Aiden O'Connell. For me and all of us, it's Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation Las Vegas Raiders Insider Podcast. Again, the Raiders fall to the Lions 26-14. Abysmal offensive performance. I thought the defense was not as bad as the score would indicate, and the offense only scored 7 points. 7. They're worse than the team Josh inherited with more talent. It is what it is. It's reality. Make the switch. Go to Aiden O'Connell. You know that Jimmy's not your long-term plan. Brian's 15 years in. He's not either. You owe it. Let the kids show you what he can do. Roll the dice. It can't get any worse. Can it? From Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation, Las Vegas Raiders Insider Podcast, part of the Fans First Sports Network. Thanks for joining us tonight, everybody. God bless you.